Welcome back. It's time to check in with our best friend for life or longer, Michael Babcock at TMZ, to get today's hottest stories and the scoop on Hollywood. Because if anybody knows, it's Michael Babcock.
It's that guy.
You're putting a lot of pressure on me, Jeremy. Good morning, guys. How are you? How's everything?
That's nothing compared to what you have to go through every day. I've been there. Maddie's been there.
Yes.
We get it.
You're day in and day out. I don't know.
How you do it?
Praise you.
Maddie knows.
Yes.
I know for like 9 months. That's all I knew.
11 years.
There you go. See, 11
Almost.
years. Hey, he's a pro. But anyway, something huge happened yesterday that I think at least us two are very aware of.
We saw it coming, so.
JLo and Ben.
Yeah, we did too. I think a lot of people they hoped that this wasn't going to happen, but Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck are now officially on the road to divorce because Jennifer Lopez yesterday in Los Angeles, without an attorney, by the way, she filed for divorce. So it wasn't something that her and Ben did jointly, which it seemed like was a strong possibility that might happen. In the end, it did not happen. It's Jennifer who files. It's not Ben who files. And it's, it's shocking. It was exactly 2 years ago yesterday, on August 20th, 2022, where they had this big fancy blowout celebration in Georgia. It wasn't the day they actually got married. They actually got married July 16th, but it was August 22nd. They had the big celebration. And then that's the exact date 2 years later that she decided to file in LA. And it would seem like an awful big coincidence if it was just a coincidence. Perhaps there's some symbolism there, but it didn't last very long. It was 20 years after they had first gotten together, and I think people thought, wow, this was love, and they were meant to be together. And unfortunately, in the end, I think you had two people who are very different. Jennifer loves the fame, Ben clearly doesn't, and it probably was destined to end in this place at some point, unfortunately for them. The interesting part, guys, they don't have a prenuptial agreement. Oh. And normally, two people as successful as them, you would think they would enter into something like this, like a marriage with a prenup, but not the case. So they both, although it was short time together, they both had a bunch of different projects where they earned a lot of money. I mean, Ben, Air, he's filming The Accountant too. There were other projects. Jennifer with Atlas, which was a big movie on Netflix, and some other stuff. This Is Me Now, and they're going to have to figure out how to divide all that, because all of that money theoretically, would go into a pot and then would be split, 50-50, half and half. They also had that really expensive home that they're trying to sell for north of $65 million.
Oh my gosh. Michael, can I ask a question? As somebody who's never been divorced, I don't know how it all works. Do you think she did that herself as a PR stunt? Because couldn't she just have the lawyers do it? Can't you do it online? Why did she have to go to the place to actually file?
So it doesn't necessarily mean too that she actually walked into the courthouse and
I thought I saw footage of her walking in there. Maybe it was old footage. Maybe it was old.
That might be, Jeremy. I might not have seen that. She certainly could have, filled it out and then had an assistant do it, or she could have brought it herself. And you don't normally, and this is like we just said, although it's a short marriage, it's a pretty complex divorce, and that there's a lot of money on the line here. So you would think that there are very well-known divorce attorneys who handle Hollywood divorces all the time. It's sort of their specialty, and she definitely could go to one of them, and she still could, but she didn't in fact do that to file. So
okay, gotcha.
It's done. People saw them wearing the wedding rings at some points, and even after the date of separation, which was in the end of April. Mm-hmm. But people saw them wearing the wedding rings even after that. You might see them together, around one of the kids of activities, a recital or something, and they might give a hug and then a kiss on the cheek. Some people say, "Oh, look, they're still together. They're not getting divorced."
I'm wondering if this is an amicable break, because like you said, no attorney was with her, no prenuptial agreement. It only lasted all of 2 years. And like you said, she was actually just spotted with Ben's son not too long ago. So maybe it's amicable and they're just agreeing 50-50. What's yours is yours.
Well, that's the thing is, when you're that rich, why do you care what the other?
Right.
Like, you take what you made during the marriage. I'll take what I made during the marriage.
Right.
You gotta walk away. It's not like you're gonna stick it.
It would seem silly to squabble over. I mean, they're both incredibly well off. Obviously, it would seem silly to sort of bicker over a couple of bucks here and there. That really is obviously not going to change their lives in any way. But crazier things have happened. And if there is animosity there, sometimes these things get hung up. I mean, we're still, I'm doing a story yesterday, still talking about Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's daughter.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's still going on.
Yeah.
They're still fighting over things like 7 years later. So sometimes
It can happen.
Yeah. The one that never ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
All right, can we move on? Because Maddie and I are obsessed with this whole Blake Lively controversy.
Yeah. Admittedly, I have not seen the movie, but Brandon Sklenar, who is one of the other co-stars in It Ends With Us, is coming out and speaking out in defense of Blake Lively. So Blake Lively is the star of the movie, and she has been getting criticized from a couple of different fronts. One, she was obviously criticized for the onset relationship that she had with Justin Baldoni, who was not only the star but also the director of the film. So she's been criticized for that. Some on-set fighting that went on, and also her behavior in interviews about the movie. Now, the movie has really heavy themes. I mean, domestic violence, and I have not seen it, but I've obviously read what the movie's about, and there's some heavy subjects in there. And a lot of people have thought that she really hasn't given that the proper attention in her interviews, that she's sort of been almost like treating it like it's a romantic comedy, which it's really not.
I thought it was, to be honest.
Yeah, so did I. And then I read about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, not so romantic after all. Basically, what Brandon is saying is like, the idea of this movie was to empower women and to put a spotlight on women who are going through relationships like this one, abusive relationships that are portrayed in the movie. And he essentially says everyone needs to cool it. With all of this mean talk online, was essentially his message to everybody.
Huh.
I don't know. If there are multiple proofs of evidence that she's a mean girl,
Yeah.
I'm starting to believe she might just be a mean girl, and she's married Ryan Reynolds, a nice guy.
And Ryan Reynolds has such a reputation for being a nice guy. And Maddie goes, but what if behind closed doors? We don't know what a couple is like in real life behind closed doors,
Yeah,
we have no idea.
We don't really know. I mean, you see the front that's put on during interviews, and maybe it's them, and maybe it's not, and
Well, that's the thing. And you catch somebody on a bad day and you see somebody else. I met somebody, an icon that I loved at Critics' Choice, who was very rude to me. Broke my heart, Michael. It broke my heart. But again, could have had a bad day.
Right. That's one of those things. If you're a celebrity, like you see with athletes and young kids, just one little moment that might not mean anything to them, and they'll forget about it. 10 seconds later, obviously could mean the world to somebody. So she's getting beat up right now. I think that's the bottom line here, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, clearly the people who work with her, at least some of them, seem to like her. So,
line is divided. So.
Fitty.
Yeah. Thank you, Babcock. Always good to see you.
Good to see you.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'll see you next week.
All right, you guys, you can catch TMZ weekdays at 5 p.m. and TMZ Live weekdays at 2 p.m.
Great, thank you.
And you can catch us with more fun right after this.
13 minutes left.